All right, we're in part three. As mentioned in the previous video, I switched workplaces in November 2023 and everything was going smoothly. The workflow was slower and I had experienced less issues with my coworkers. So 2023 turned into 2024. Winter 2024 came to an end with only my insomnia bothering me. Uh, and So yeah, I was only experiencing difficulty falling asleep 2 to 3 nights a week, or so I thought back then. Looking back, I actually started experiencing a romantic delusion somewhere around March 2024. It is fortunate that I've been journaling the events of my life since 2005, as you can see from all these journals. It helps me with the reconstruction. So anyway, when I started working in my new workplace, I actually developed a crush on a coworker. I spent months subtly flirting and hinting my interest. By March 2024, I started to believe that my coworker likes me back. Why did I believe this? I'm not sure. However, I started developing other romantic beliefs about the nature of our relationship. I believed that our coworkers know that we have a workplace romance going on. There wasn't, by the way. But there was something going on. I believe that there was something going on, but it is simply unspoken. Then I started believing that this person, my crush, along with other coworkers, were so interested that they paid $5,000 for a private investigator to dig everything about me. Then I believed that they had my Facebook hacked and deleted pictures of me and my old romantic interests out of jealousy. This whole thing started affecting me emotionally and psychologically. I ruminated a lot about the situation, quote unquote situation, and how to resolve it. It did resolve itself, but that's because this person, my crush, moved to a different department. In April 2024, which was a planned move, yeah, he moved to the different department in April 2024. But this was a planned move of him since January. The distance between us led to this delusion dying down, and eventually I moved on. The whole thing gave me concentration issues, as my mind was preoccupied with the quote unquote drama that wasn't really happening. So it was all in my head. I did not experience it as a romantic delusion. I experienced it as a romantic drama when it was happening. Why did I believe these things? I think it's because of the referential nature of delusions. When my mind is becoming delusional, it locks it into certain things and identifies it as evidence, or rather, it refers to me. During this time, these things were the way people talked and behaved, although these were weak evidence, or not evidence at all. My mind interprets them as the proof I am looking for to confirm the delusional ideational beliefs. It does not actually make sense, but when you're of sound mind, it doesn't make sense. But my mind makes it make sense, and it even begins to feel like it actually does make sense. So weak evidence or non-evidence becomes the evidence that refers to me and my delusional experiences. To an outside observer, my thought process would appear to be incoherent, disorganized, or illogical. But in my delusional state, it all makes sense. The weak evidence or non-evidence that refers to me is seen by my mind as strong and compelling evidence. Anyway, by May, I thought it was over, and it felt that way. If there was anything psychiatric going on with me, I thought it was over. However, the delusion turned into three delusions from June to July. By June, a new romantic delusion had emerged. There was now also a religious delusion, and there was another delusion, but I'm not sure under which delusion category it falls under. Moving forward, the object of the new romantic delusion is someone I met 17 years ago. When I was 17, I saw a fortune teller, and the fortune teller then told me that I was destined to find my soulmate in Canada. My mind reached the conclusion that this prophecy actually refers to this person. Back in June, July, my mind thought that, oh yeah, the prophecy actually refers to this person. So I started Googling him and discovered that he became the president of some important organization this year. My mind then concluded that this must be the prophecy fulfilling itself. He had orchestrated his career development in such a way in order to achieve our romantic union. It made a lot of sense to me. This person needed to become the president in order to threaten potential rivals for my affections, to make them go away. In fact, I was convinced he was actually sending emails to my coworkers, informing them that our love is almost 2 decades old. The price of attempting to steal me away is that my coworkers would lose their jobs. In July, I actually believed he had commissioned a jeweler to craft me an expensive engagement ring. He was only waiting for the right time to show up at my workplace and propose to me. I also believed he found someone to tap my cell phone so that they can hear everything I hear and keep tabs on me. This all seemed rather scary and creepy, but I thought, wow, he really loves me, and I'm impressed. I waited for him to make a move. However, none came. Of course, none came. Now that I think about it, none came. I mean, I haven't seen him in 17 years. So I started talking to my cell phone. These were one of those odd behaviors that I started having. Talking to my cell phone whenever I'm alone, so I can encourage him to make a move. I said things like, if I could spend my life with one person, it is then, and then I would say the name. I even said things like, give me my engagement ring already. I begged repeatedly, with the belief that he can hear me through my tapped phone. The other delusion I will call the sun delusion, as an SON delusion. According to this belief, this delusion, a dorm mate of mine actually roofied me back in my undergrad and had her way with me in my bedroom in my sleep. This resulted in a son, which she did not reveal to me. I believed it was only now that I was connecting the pieces, connecting the dots, and figuring out that I've been a father all this time. As if hit by a eureka moment, I reached the conclusion that my son is actually a playmate of mine on an online game. However, the CIA are also after me because I did something President Biden was angry about. So I believe the reason I have not seen my son for a long time is because he had been abducted by the CIA, and so was the case with his mother. I remember that the last time we played online, he played bad, and I haven't seen him since April. To me, this meant that his hands were bound when we were playing, and that's why he played bad. And I did not see him online since April because the CIA may have been ordered to execute him and his mother. When I realized this at home, I cried. I went to our back lawn got on my knees, prayed to God as I was crying heavily, and begged God to spare my son. I said things like, "Take me, I'm useless and he's still young." This delusion actually made me sad a lot and resulted in me crying many times from June all the way to September. In desperation, I kept messaging him on Discord. I kept telling him that he should have told me that he's my son and that I love him. I sent him messages begging him to come online and talk to me. I also kept praying that he's alright. Every time I prayed, and even now every time I pray, I still ask God to unite us as father and son and for him to be safe. So yeah, it's December now and I still do it, even though I now think it's probably a delusion. The third delusion is religious in nature. I believe that 15 years ago, I recommended a book on Facebook that changed the world. I did it because I was chosen by God to do so, and it was in fulfillment of God's will. As such, I am actually a chosen servant of God. This is also the reason why President Biden and the CIA were after me. Furthermore, CSIS, the Canadian Secret Service, and Justin Trudeau are also after me. I believe that I strengthen the forces of God on Earth, and or in Canada, and they don't vote, or North America, and they don't vote Democrat or Liberal. So that's why they're mad with me, at me. This was yeah, this was also the reason why they kidnapped my son and his mother. I started believing that the CIA was actually trying to assassinate me for the past 11 years. I started thinking that the times I had food poisoning was actually because the CIA slipped arsenic poison into my food. When I was walking across a park, they were taking shots at me. They have also been monitoring my online activity the past 9 years and watching everything I watch on YouTube. This delusion filled me with fear. I also thought that they also tapped my phone. So a lot of people had tapped my phone around this time. I would talk to my phone bargaining with the CIA and President Biden. I would talk to my phone begging them to leave my son alone, as he and his mother are innocent, have nothing to do with this. I also explained to them that despite the fact that I succeeded in my divine mission, all I did was actually recommend a book. I didn't technically do anything illegal. However, I believe they wouldn't leave me alone because they believed I was dangerous. And they were very angry with me. So yeah, I believe that by recommending this book, they learned how to organize and strengthen themselves. In August, things took a turn for the bizarre and for the worst. Or worse. The three delusions were still running, rotating one after the other. So when I'm not having one delusion, I'm having the other delusion. If I'm not having that delusion, I'm having the other delusion. It just rotates between the three delusions. So when I finished talking to the CIA or President Biden, I was preoccupied with my son. When I was not preoccupied with the CIA or my son, I was preoccupied with my soulmate. However, in August, 3 additional delusions emerged for me to deal with. I categorize all 3 of these delusions as thought insertion, thought broadcasting, grandiose, somatic, and referential delusions. because each one of these three delusions has elements of all the five I just mentioned. So in one delusion, aliens time traveled and from the distant future, like billions of years into the future. They're not actually really aliens. It's just that humanity has evolved to the point that they are no longer human. Anyway, they time traveled because this universe is at war with another universe. Both our universe and the other universe are trying to destroy each other. In order for our universe to win the war, our universe has to unfold a certain way. Enter me. The key to winning the war. The aliens, using teleportation technology, implanted a special pineal gland in my brain, which they use to communicate with me. The plan is they will give me scientific breakthroughs telepathically, using the pineal gland to accelerate the technological development of humanity. They will also use their technology to stop me from aging, and if I die, they will resurrect me. My job is to receive the scientific breakthroughs and share them. They will keep doing this until I reach the end of the universe. They shared some of these scientific breakthroughs and examples are with me, and examples are that causality is an illusion. Apparently the universe is constructed in a way that it gives the illusion of causality. That is, it gives the appearance of causality, but it's actually not. Also, they told me time unfolds linearly, which gives this appearance of causality, but it's just the universe moving across time. Time is also a loop, so that past, present, and future, the distinctions are not real, because time is a circular loop, the past is also the future, etc., etc. And the present is also the past, and it's also the future. There are other things that the aliens told me, but for the interest of time management, I'm not going to mention them. Anyway, they talked to me a lot, the aliens, and I had to talk back. This delusion really ruined my concentration. Obviously, I was also having auditory hallucinations at this point. The aliens talking to me, that's auditory hallucination. It got so bad that I started calling in sick simply because I can't work like that. I also didn't want my coworkers to see me talking to what would appear to them to be nothing. Anyway, apparently once I reached the end of the universe, having lived billions and billions of years, I would exit the universe and live in some giant vessel outside the universe and get crowned as king of the universe. Another delusion, I call the virtual reality delusion, actually has two versions. According to this delusion, we are not living in 2024. We are already in the 22nd century, or even farther into the future. People in the future have run out of land, and so they have decided to clear cemeteries, and they converted our minds from its biological form into an artificial intelligence form. So this entire world of reality is actually a virtual reality that serves as a type of cemetery for everyone they're able to convert biologically to AI form. I hear people talking to me, which no one else can hear. I heard people talking to me, which no one else can hear, because the people in the future are interested in me. And they're interested in me because of my sins during my lifetime. Of course, this is actually the auditory hallucination. Once more. This too made me talk to entities that other people cannot see. Usually, what we talk about are things that they're upset about that I did in my life. For example, They are angry that I trash talked an old acquaintance. They accuse me of deceiving associates into doing something. They said I was seeking personal fame, but I made it look like I was helping them. They also brought up a lot of things that I did that I'm not proud of. Furthermore, they threatened to kill me a lot. Lots of threats to kill me. In fact, there was a 2-week period when every night they would threaten to kill me. Sometimes my son from the other delusion would talk to me to give me hope. Yes, there are crossovers in these delusions. There was this one time during the delusions when I ripped. Oh yes, there was this one time when I ripped off the epistle of Saint James from my Bible. I did so because I believed that they put the epistle of Saint James in the Bible to mock me. My name is James in real life, by the way. Because I believed it's a made-up part of the Bible to mock me, put in there just to mock me, I decided to rip it out of my Bible. Because it occurred to me that it was blasphemy. I believe they put the epistle there because they accused me of faking being a saint. The other version of the virtual reality delusion is that I'm still alive, but I'm at a very old age in prison. And I was hooked up to some kind of virtual reality machine. They wanted me to relive the memories of my life. They also wanted to torture me. That's supposed to explain why I was going through everything that I was going through. It's a punishment. It did feel like a punishment. Like torture, actually. There were many more details from the delusions, but I just don't feel I have enough time to mention them. Plus, it's hard to make sense of it all. My mind felt so overwhelmed and overloaded during this time period of August to September. Again, these experiences happened during August and September. What eventually happened is my parents took me to the hospital on September the 21st. They saw from my behavior that I was super anxious. I would pace in front of the house a lot, smoke cigarettes a lot. I bought 4 crucifixes from Amazon and I would walk around everywhere with one. I held one when I went to church, when I went to the mall, when I went to visit my brothers in their house. They also saw me talking to the voices. I ended up spending a night in the hospital. They didn't form me or admit me to the inpatient psychiatric unit because I was not in danger of harming myself or others. The psychiatrist restarted me on antipsychotics, risperidone again, and then my dad picked me up from the hospital. I made sure to emphasize to the psychiatrist that I have no thoughts or intention of harming myself or others. You see, under law, they can't keep you in the hospital unless you're a danger to yourself or others. And I made sure not to tell the psychiatrist that I was having thoughts of suicide or harming myself. I just wanted to go home. I thought quietly to myself, if I'm going to die, let me die at home. The hospital experience was not a pleasant experience. The psychiatric emergency was like a prison, and they didn't even have a bed. I had to sleep on a chair that night. I was so relieved on my way home. One of the differences between my first episode, Psychosis, and my relapse is how many delusions were running. During my first episode, it was only one storyline. It was just that the whole world was conspiring against me. During my relapse, I had at least 6 storylines running. All of them made sense to me, and they all felt real. A second difference is this time, I had visual hallucinations. One night in August, I was outside arguing with aliens, and I saw my brother's car on the driveway. The car was behind me as I was arguing with the aliens and pleading with them to stop, to set things right. After the argument with the aliens, I turned back, and the car was gone. My brother's car wasn't in the driveway that night, and neither was he, but I saw it right next to me, outside. Then it disappeared. I felt victimized because the aliens and the people from the future were torturing and tormenting me. I became severely suspicious because I believed my parents and co-workers were working with the aliens or people from the future. This was their revenge. That was the thought in my head. I withdrew socially out of fear and exhaustion, but only mildly, because I reached out to my family to help me. I also had mild hygiene deterioration as it became difficult to shower during this time. I developed a fear of closing my eyes while being under the shower. The torment continued. However, by October, the antipsychotic medication was finally taking effect. The hygiene deterioration, sleep disturbance, social withdrawal, auditory hallucinations, and visual hallucinations were gone, as far as I know. I also sunk into depression in September. It hurt, but I took it as a sign that I'm still alive. After all, pain is the price of existence, and I was still paying. By November, the feelings of victimization and depression were also gone. The effects on my concentration were mild, and the paranoia was reduced to mild, infrequent ideations. All delusions were gone by November, thanks to risperidone, begrudgingly. I remember them well, but I remember the delusions well, but I no longer believe them. That is, except one. I still believe in one. And it could be the case that I can't let go of this one because I refuse to let it go. I refuse to let it go because through it all, it gave me a reason to live. It gave me hope and joy. It's the one where I have a son. Every night, I pray that we would one day meet and spend some quality father-son together. In October, I tracked my old dorm mate from my undergrad, my son's mother. I discovered from my research that she's become a lawyer in Philadelphia. I sent her a message on LinkedIn. I even called her workplace and left a message for her asking her to get back to me, though it's been 19 years since we last saw each other. Now, it's December. It's now December, and I'm still waiting to hear back from her. I am hoping it's not a delusion, and that we really do have a son. There's a high five waiting for her.